Today I will just show a short demo about how Kubermatic integrates OPA. In a nutshell, how we do it is that we allow users to create and manage the policies on the seed and master clusters of Kubermatic, and they are automatically reconciled to the user clusters which have the OPA integration enabled. Through this, users can very easily manage the gatekeeper policies across multiple clusters. So let's get to the example, and for this I will show you a bit how the Gatekeeper works. So it works by creating those policies, right? Makes sense. And those policies in Gatekeeper are called constraint templates. I will show you one now. Let's make it a little bigger. So the constraint templates define constraints. And we can see that in the first part of the constraint template, that it defines a constraint called forbid privileged. And the second part is the Rego language, which is the OPA language, which is basically the rule itself, the policy itself. So here, this touches the something that pod security policy was doing before. For the pod security policy, you could disallow creating pods which have security context privilege set to true. So basically giving them root access. And here in this language, I won't go too far into it, but you can see that there is a violation described here. And it goes through all the input containers, which can be either the containers or the init containers. And it checks if the security context privilege is true. And if yes, then it writes a message and the violation gets triggered. So how the OPA works here is that it goes through all the lines, and if each of them succeeds, it goes further. So if it comes to the message part, it means that the violation was achieved, let's say. It's a bit complicated to grasp at first, but the OPA guys have a lot of examples, and they even have a playground where you can test your Rego policies. Okay, so here on the left side, I'm on the seed cluster, and I will create this PSP templates. Okay, it's created. And on the right, I'm on the user cluster. I created already a cluster with OPA enabled. And we can see here that a CRD was created, which is called forbid privileged. So this is how Gatekeeper works. It checks the constraint templates which are available, and for each constraint template that it sees, it creates a corresponding constraint CRD. Okay. Please note also here that we are not using in the seed cluster the Gatekeeper constraint templates. We are using the Kubermatic ones because we wrote just wrappers around the Gatekeeper ones, and we are thinking the Kubermatic templates, which are basically almost the same as the Gatekeeper ones, to the user clusters for the Gatekeeper. This is also so we can more easily extend the constraint templates in the seed clusters and add more features around them. Okay, so let's check constraints. So we have a constraint that will be created for this cluster that I created. It will be created in the seed cluster, but in the namespace for the user cluster. And it's pretty simple. It just says what resources to match. So here just match pods, and it tells the gatekeeper to when it sees a pod to run it through the rule and see if it violates the rule. Okay, and let's create it. Okay, it's created, and we can see that we have now a forbidden privileged constraint. I created, I have prepared two YAMLs with pods. One is example where it's bad, where it's using the privileged security context. So if I try to create it, it should fail. Yeah, so you're getting an error from the server with this message here that the privileged container is not allowed in the image Nginx. But if I try to create the good policy, the good pod, which has a privilege false, it should be able to create it. Okay, and it's allowed. So here we can see that easily we could just replace the pod security policy, at least for this privilege part, with OPA. And Gatekeeper has a whole library of policy, constraint template examples with different regals, which all target the PSP. So it's very easy just to take them and create them in Kubermatic. I also want to show you one more thing. If you can see the error message, it says that admission webhook validation gatekeeper denied the request. So I'll explain just a little bit how Gatekeeper works. It's kind of simple. It has a validating webhook which targets everything. So you can see that it targets all API groups, all versions, all resources for create and update. So it works like this: that it gets everything goes through it. It sends it to the controller, which is on the seed cluster. Let me show you. It's here, and the controller, based on the constraint templates and constraints which are defined, makes a decision if it will allow it or not. So here he got a pod, and because of the template and the constraints, it's checked it out through this regal, and it says it's not good. So I'll show you an example of what happens when the constraint is off. So now it shouldn't be there. Yeah, it's gone. So now I should be able to create the beds pod. Okay, and when I create it again, well, Gatekeeper can't do anything anymore, right? Because it's already created, so it can't forbid it, but it can do something else. Gatekeeper also has a audit component, which periodically runs audits on the existing resources, and it checks all the existing resources through the policies which are defined. So now we should be able to see the information here about the audits. Okay, it's not here yet, but it should come at one point. And basically, that's all I wanted to show about OPA integration in Kubernetes. Let me just check if, oh, okay. You can see that something called violations appeared, and it's a good way to show users when the policies are created on an already existing cluster, that some of their resources are violating the rules that are set. So here it says that there's one violation of the constraint, and that the pod's Nginx is violating the rule that the privileged container is not allowed. And that's all of what I wanted to say for today. Thanks you for your attention.